video is not a clickbait. This is the last video about manifestation that you will have to watch. If after you watch this video to the end, if you still come here on YouTube and you look for videos on best technique on how to manifest, trending techniques to manifest, how to change my reality, why nothing is changing, then I am going to be very upset. I'm just joking, but it is true. I'm going to deliver to you today everything that I've learned about manifestation that completely changed my entire reality, because I was so sick of all the trending methods that everybody swears by, but they say they're having results, but I was like, something must be wrong with me, because why am I not having the results that everybody else is having, even though I am applying all these trending manifestation techniques? So stay with me. First of all, we need to understand what manifestation actually is. Well, most of you think that manifestation is the act of materializing something in your physical reality, but the real meaning of manifestation is to impress your subconscious mind, because whatever you impress in your subconscious mind, it must become physical. It must come into your physical reality. So that's the first thing you need to understand. Manifestation is not about, yes, it's cool that we have this now in your physical reality, but it's really the act of impressing your subconscious mind. The second thing that we are going to address now is what is the best method, the best technique for manifestation that is like really effective. And I know I'm going to upset some people that are expecting me to say, write 369 3 times in the morning, 6 times in the afternoon, 9 times at night. But I'm here to tell you the truth, because just like many of you guys, I was spinning the wheel and I was so tired of like, I need to know like the truth. And the truth is that let me break this down for you. If I were to ask you, who are you? Who are you really? Many of you guys would tell me your name, your profession, your age, your relationship status, all of those things. But none of that is you. Because next year, you're going to be a different age. Next year, you might not be in your current profession. Like me, in the beginning of the year, I had my salon here in Hawaii, and I was a PNU master, and now I'm not anymore. So that's not who I am. Who are you if you're not your age, if you're not your profession, if you're not none of those things? You are consciousness. And why does that matter so much when we're talking about manifestation? Because we forgot the game that we came here to play. We forgot that we are consciousness coming here in this game of life, and we had this like blackout in our mind. We forgot this game, the rules of the game. We forgot how to play this game. But consciousness came here to experiment itself, to expand. And so when we enter planet Earth, right, we are a soul, and then we come here to Earth. We forget we are like a blank canvas, a blank computer with no programs in it, with zero awareness of ourselves. And so depending on the family that you're born at, depending on the country that you're born at, like me, I was born in Brazil. So my first language was Portuguese. That's how I was programmed. And so by being born in Brazil, I had a different belief system, beliefs about, the world than Americans, for example. Someone who is born in America, a baby who is born here, they are programmed to speak English. Someone who is born in Japan, they're born to speak Japanese, and their culture will shape their beliefs. The family that they are born at will shape their beliefs. And all of that will shape their view of the world. So, why does this matter? You need to understand about the different layers, the different levels of the different planes of creation. Pretty much, what's going on here is that you are a soul, you are consciousness, that's who you are, and where you are is what you're experiencing right now. You are experiencing a lot of like financial stress, financial lack. You are experiencing relationship problems. That's where you are, but that's not who you are. Write this down. That's not who you are. So you are consciousness. Some people call 5D, 4D, 3D. And consciousness needs to experiment itself. So anything that sticks to the 4D will materialize, solidify into the 3D. But what is the 4D, the mental plane? pretty much your subconscious mind. If I could sum it up, the biggest shareholder of the mental plane is your subconscious mind. So when you were from 0 to 7 years old, you're a blank computer, and whatever you were exposed to, whatever beliefs you were exposed to, whatever situations you were exposed to, you created beliefs and you were programmed. And those programs are automatic. And they are generating the very reality that you are experiencing in your life right now. If you never reprogrammed your subconscious mind, then whatever you are creating in your reality is unconscious because you never looked at any of that. But everything that you're experiencing in your reality, whether it's a lack of money, toxic relationships, everything is being created by you. Everything. So if everything is being created by you because of all these unconscious programs, right? What's going on here is that there is a viewpoint where reality is controlled or created. And the viewpoint, some people call it the observer, right? The observer in the quantum aspect. But the observer is not just observing with your sight. In this viewpoint, there can be consciousness, awareness, or it could be the 3D. And that's where you guys are stuck. You're letting the effect sit on the viewpoint, control the viewpoint of the mental plane, because you look at your reality and you don't like at what you look at. And you look at your bank statements and you don't have enough money. And you look at your clients and you don't have enough clients. And you look at the guy that is ghosting you. And all of that generates a reactive emotion. And that reactive emotion is attached to a belief. And that belief validates itself because you are sleeping till now. Something triggers you on the physical reality. You react emotionally. You never regulate, never reprogram. You just think you are not a lucky person. And because you're not aware, that takes over your viewpoint. And when that takes over your viewpoint, you reinforce the same shit into your subconscious mind. And your subconscious mind is creating your reality. So that's an infinite loop. Awakening is really realizing this loop that you're at and understanding the game, how to play with this avatar. Because yes, you're consciousness, but right now you're plugged into a body. So you must understand how this body works for you to make it work in your favor. And this body works with your subconscious mind and with your nervous system. Both of them work together to make the reality solidify. So think about as like reality, like the mental plane as water, and you're trying to, or even like water in a state of gas, and you're trying to solidify, to turn that water, the gas into ice. That's what you're trying to do. It already exists even though you're not seeing it. And all you have to do is to sustain long enough for the ice to have enough energy to solidify itself. But if you keep opening the fridge every single time, you don't have enough energy to make the ice to become solid. So what is the key solution here? Just stop letting your reactive emotions take over the pilot, the cabin of the pilot. Because your life, think of it as an airplane that is on autopilot and is going to, I don't know, Hawaii. But you never programmed that airplane to come to Hawaii. You never did. That was programmed when you were a little kid. And you never changed that. So you think because with your conscious mind, you said, I'm out of death. I want this house, I want this car. You think because you decided with your conscious mind, you think because you bought the premium seat, the first class in the airplane, that just by doing that, the pilot is going to change the route of the airplane. It doesn't work that way. You need to understand how to become the pilot and how to change the autopilot that is taking the airplane to the location that you don't want to go. Deciding is one thing, but now really becoming the pilot of the airplane and breaking the code of the automatic shit that you have in your subconscious mind is a totally different thing. And so when people say, oh, you have to vibrate high, they don't know shit what they're talking about, to be honest about. Your frequency, right? It's who you're frequently being. What is frequency? How many times something happens in a period of time. So who you're frequently being, that's what matters. Your frequency, how frequently do you go to the grocery store? How frequently do you go swimming? That's how frequently you're being in lack, how frequently you're being in abundance. So your frequency is really who you are frequently being. And this stuff of like, oh, gratitude or like feel happy, feel positive, yes, it works, because when you are positive, you are making your reticular activated system to focus more your algorithm of real life, like to search more of that stuff for you. Same thing on Instagram or like here on social media, whatever you watch, right? You signal to the algorithm, this is what I'm watching, please show me more of this. This is your focus on real life. Whatever you focus, the algorithm of real life will keep like showing you more of that. But your emotions, you can have different emotions for different areas of your life. You can be happy in your love life, but you could be satisfied in your financial. So it's not about feeling happy or grateful 24/7. Take this off of your mind. It's really about who you're frequently being. Are you letting your reality, your physical, which is nothing more than a creation from the past, control and reinforce that very belief that you don't want to experience in your life? Or are you actually the one driving the airplane and learning how to reprogram your subconscious mind so you can direct the airplane to whatever direction you want it to go? And so when we look in the Bible, right? Matthew 18:3, unless you change and become like little children, you will not enter the kingdom. What does this mean? Why little kids? Because little kids, that's when they are programmable. They live in their imagination, right? Imagination is creative emotion. That's emotion is neutral. Emotion, energy in motion. Negative emotion, hate, sadness are all emotions that also create, right? That's why, like, oh, don't be sad for too long, don't be hateful, because you're gonna attract more of the same. It also creates, but is the belief attached to that feeling is what's gonna materialize. So when here Matthew 18:3, the kids, they live in their imagination, they have a deep trust. You can tell them that Santa Claus is real, and they're gonna believe it. They're gonna believe in you. And so another passage from the Bible that really emphasizes this, Mark 11:24, whatever you ask for in prayer, believe that you have received, and it will be yours. Believe that you have received. It's not believe with your conscious mind, because the conscious mind is not in the seat of the pilot. It's believe with your heart in the subconscious mind. And so there are two passages on the Bible. One of Luke 5:4, where Peter was fishing the whole night and he was exhausted, he wasn't catching anything. And then Jesus told him, go deeper in the deep water. And he caught so much fish that he almost broke the nets. What does it mean, go deeper? Yes, go deeper in your faith, but also go deeper in your subconscious. Because as you know, the conscious mind is only 5%. When you go deeper in your subconscious mind, that's where reality is created. Another passage, John 21:6. Jesus told the fishermen to throw the net to their right, and they would get a lot of fish. Why to the right? Because the brain, there is the left and the right hemisphere. When you look at the left hemisphere, that's your logical mind. That's the 5%. But when you go to your right, your intuitive mind, emotional mind, that's when you're going to catch the abundance, because that's where you got to go to reprogram all of your beliefs. The heart is the womb of creation. The subconscious mind is the womb of creation, which, by the way, guys, if you look at Neville Goddard's book, The Collection, he breaks down so many Bible passages. Is like really interesting to read. But going back here, I want you to ask you this question. When babies are in the womb, right? What is the first organ to be formed? If you're a woman and you have kids, you probably know it is the heart. The clues are there all along. are there all along. What is the last organ to die when to tell someone is dead? Okay, sometimes it could be the brain, but typically the heart, right? So the heart is the first and the last one. The key to life is in the heart. That's the womb of creation. It's not by accident that your subconscious mind is considered your emotional mind. And so your goal, the best technique for you to change your reality, for you to manifest anything that you want, is to impress your subconscious mind. Neville Goddard, when he was talking about feeling is the secret, he wasn't talking about just feeling with the emotions. He was talking about impressing the subconscious mind. That's why he taught people the SATs, state akin to sleep, because right before you go to sleep and right when you wake up, your brain waves are in theta, which is like a state where your brain waves are slower and your subconscious mind is highly suggestible, highly impressed. Like you can impress your subconscious mind very easily. That's what he was talking about. When you can sustain that state of being, right, in your mental plane, your thoughts, if I could sum it up, your thoughts, your focus, what you're focusing on, are you focusing on the lack or abundance? Because you cannot have a focus in two things at once, unless you're a woman. Just joking. And your beliefs, your unconscious beliefs. And some people are like, oh, I already tried to reprogram my subconscious mind, but you're trying with the wrong way, or you're trying to reprogram the wrong things. Most people try to reprogram the subconscious mind with repetition. Repetition works, yes, it works, but you already have a very ingrained belief that has been programmed in your childhood, and you have collected throughout your life enough evidence that that belief is true. You think that just like, oh, I'm just repeating is gonna outdo this. Very difficult. Yes, if it's something very simple that you're trying to manifest that is not very like different from the reality that you are currently experiencing, that might work. But most cases it doesn't. Now, other people try other techniques like vision boards or meditation, visualization. All of these are great tools. But again, if you have, number one, if you have deep unconscious stuff in your subconscious mind, sometimes just like detaching from your identity and going to another identity won't be enough. Like when I say deep unconscious stuff is like your secondary gains or on why do you keep that belief alive. Most of you try to reprogram beliefs like such as I have to work hard for money. This is just a macro belief, but the real beliefs are much deeper than that. I gave this example multiple times here of someone whose business was going down because every time her business was going down, her mom would support her financially. And the way she learned how to bond with her mom is through problems. Do you think that person is going to make that business thrive? It won't. She won't. And so when you have that deep unconscious stuff that you never looked at, you might be trying to listen to subliminals and do all of these things, but you're not reprogramming the right thing. You're not like cutting the right beliefs off of your life. And so once you learn that, it's much easier to undo the beliefs. And what I teach on my academy is one tool discovered by neuroscience that is called memory reconsolidation, which is nothing more than dissolving the emotion from the belief, because a belief is nothing more than a memory with a charged emotion. So when you remove the emotion from that belief, you break down the belief. Different techniques like NLP, all when they are effective, that's what they do at the core, at the root. And so when you're trying to change your reality, you have to stop letting your 3D control your viewpoint, because otherwise you're going to be reinforcing with emotion beliefs that you don't want. And you have to start using your creative emotion, which is your imagination, to impress in your subconscious mind the thing that you want. But Bia, how am I going to do that when I need more clients and I don't have it and I have bills to pay? To walk by faith, not by fear. Faith and fear requires you to believe in something you cannot see. Physical reality is only 0.0035% of what you can see. 99.99% you cannot see. And you're freaking out by that. By that. By the time you see something that is not even real anymore, because all the electrical signals, the inputs, the data that you receive through your five senses, by the time your brain processes it already happened milliseconds ago. And so stop letting detach the 3D, stop letting the 3D take over this seat, and you always have to ask yourself, who is in the viewpoint right now? And I get it, sometimes it's gonna feel like nothing is changing, that reality is not changing, but you have to stick with your assumption. You have to stick, keep on visualizing, keep on doing the work in the mental plane. It's not just about visualization, but that helps. But you have to keep doing the work in the mental plane, because the real manifestation is to impress the subconscious mind. And don't be surprised if your life, depending on how big of a jump you want to give in your life, of a quantum jump you want to give in your life, don't be surprised if people start to be removed from your life, if things start to change drastically in your life. Don't try to hold in, because sometimes you need to make space. That's the law of vacuum. You need to make space for new things to come into your life. That's what happened to me in Brazil when I really wanted to live here in Hawaii. And I remember, like, my life just went to shit. And I remember I found out my ex was cheating on me, and it was just like a chaotic situation. But if that didn't happen, if he didn't cheat on me, I wouldn't just give up on my life in Brazil. I wouldn't just like quit my job and like, hi, I'm coming. I wouldn't do that. And so Louise Hayes, she always says this, like, all is well and everything is working out in my favor. So you always have to trust that, because out of the most like impossible situations, the miracles will happen for you. But you have to sustain the faith. You have to believe and stop entertaining fear, because both of them are something that you cannot see. Why not to walk by faith? And no, you don't have to believe in your dreams. You don't. I'm the first person to tell you this. You don't have to believe in your dreams. I do not believe that I was going to be here. I wanted to, but I didn't believe. But what I did was to impress my subconscious mind with intense emotion. I touched my dream, which is what I teach in my academy. So many different things, but I was impressing my subconscious mind like day in, day out. And because I was doing that, it happened for me. Out of thin air, I manifested it. And so to walk by faith and not by fear. Another thing that you have to, sometimes it's going to be like, seems like nothing is changing, but you got to trust in the bridge of incidents. If you're here and you want to go to point A to point B, that's what Neville Goddard talks about, the bridge of incidents. You gotta trust the small little synchronicities, Dr. Joe Dispenza calls synchronicities, are happening instantly. The moment you decided and you are impressing your subconscious mind, this bridge starts to form instantly. But now if you keep doubting, you are removing the very blocks that are connecting you to this reality point B. So relax and normalize your dream. Trust in this process. Remember that you are consciousness, and where you are is not who you are. Where you are is not who you are. Now, how long do I have to sustain that? How long do I have to impress my subconscious mind for? Well, manifestation is instantly in the mental plane, but I know you want that in your physical plane. So how long do I have to sustain that? How fast can I manifest? Manifestation is instant. But because it will be very chaotic, right? Like an elephant, and all of a sudden there's an elephant here. It will be very chaotic. There is a delay. There is the gestational period of bringing an idea to life. And how long it's going to take it is how fast can you sustain that state of being, and how much contradiction do you have in your subconscious mind, how much unconscious shit do you have over there blocking you from that thing that you want. If you look at those two things, it could be like really fast. That's why Neville Goddard, he gives the example of climbing the ladder at night for you to try the sets, the state akin to sleep. If you don't know what I'm talking about, for 3 days and 3 nights, right before you fall asleep, you're going to imagine yourself climbing a ladder, climbing up and climbing down, and feel everything about this ladder, and fall asleep thinking about that, and wake up thinking about that. You're going to see in a few days, someone or something's gonna force you to climb a ladder. But why a ladder? Because a ladder, you don't have any objection. But like if it's $1 million, you do have a shit ton of objections. Like I have a lot of objections in being a billionaire. And so that's why try this exercise if you're still doubting, like I create my own reality. When something is small, that you don't have any objection, that it doesn't contradict any of your beliefs, then it's very fast to see that pop up in your reality. So the technique, like when you see all these techniques out there, 369, la la la, all it really is doing is trying to make you believe, it's trying to impress your subconscious mind. Which one is more effective? Whatever can evoke more emotion out of you. But nothing works if you're doing all this work, all these techniques, and something pops in your 3D, you don't have the money, and now you spiral down, and you just like, what? Got off the viewpoint, and you're letting the reality sit on the pilot's chair and control your life. So for the next few days, or forever, I wanted to start to be aware of who is in the driver's seat. Is it you, consciousness, or is it the reality, the 3D, or is it the old beliefs that you have in your subconscious mind? Pay attention to that, and I can guarantee that your life is going to transform really, really fast. And if you're interested in learning more about this and learning how to effectively find out what's really blocking you in your subconscious mind, click in the link in the description, because that's the work that I do with my students in the academy, how to find the real beliefs that are blocking your reality. Because I can guarantee it's nothing that you have ever seen before, and is really creating this delay in your physical reality. Leave a comment below as well if you have any questions. I'm also always answering here for you guys.